Hi, this is Dawson Devitt, part of cohort 20, and this is my second submission for my subjectivity presentation, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity for this. Speaking of biases, preconceptions, and personal experiences, I am a white male, grew up middle class. Both parents were highly educated. Both were teachers. My dad was an elementary school principal for 20 plus years. And really my entire family was educated. So I automatically have a predisposition to the power of education itself, and in context of that, the power of schools teaching and how it relates to culture and climate, which can obviously have an impact on achievement. So that predisposition is natural for me, and that's something I have to work very hard to be careful of. And so, just kind of looking specifically, with my topic of happiness and how it relates to culture and climate in schools. This is something that I'm gonna have to put several guardrails in place. Because my dad was revered in his district, retired 33 years plus, and he was a true servant leader. And so I found myself as I've become a leader, a teacher, and then an administrator myself. I have had to already check myself just in my role, not even in necessarily even beginning my research, but it's something that I constantly have to check myself, and that others aren't. It's okay that others aren't like my dad accordingly, but others certainly would have a different experience, could have a different experience, and then that is something that I have to work hard to understand. Someone, for instance, growing up without means, growing up a little higher poverty. May not be afforded, may not have the same value of happiness, because if you're worrying about where the next food is coming from and where the next paycheck's coming from, that's something that may not correlate very much at all. And so I certainly understand that I have many privileges built in, and that's something I really didn't start understanding until not only it was an adult, but the more I've gone through school and really become aware of the kind of silent privileges that I'm provided, and how fortunate and lucky I was to grow up in a household that valued education, and that really has made an impact. So, for instance, talking about participants. There is definitely an inherent power that I have, and I know for a fact that can and will play a role in that. So if I'm an administrator, I'm an evaluator, and so from a teacher's point of view, if there's the power of evaluation there is a very good chance that I, for instance, would not get the true answer, because there's a paranoia, rightly so, with teachers in terms of being evaluated. Even though surveys be anonymous, there's a fear, understandably so, as I mentioned before, that that they can be tracked back, and so there's a very real possibility of not getting truthful answers. I feel like I've prided myself on being a teacher at heart, because it's my entire family are educators, and the majority of my family are teachers, classroom teachers, the only exception being my dad, who's a principal. And so it is my kind of life work to serve and support teachers. But that being said, that still doesn't eliminate the possibility of teachers not being not being honest, because of the evaluation piece. So I know that could be something that could undermine my research if I'm not careful, because that could put my possibility of being a truthful and honest, or getting honest data rather, from teachers. And we're talking about happiness and how it relates to culture and climate, because I would think maybe they are just telling me what they think I want to hear. Again, as I mentioned, with power, this certainly has a possibility of undermining credibility. So it's something I have to work very hard at to ensure that does not come into play. And so one of the things as we're getting to the scholar and training portion is that one of my goals is to have my subjectivities are going to play a role in how I'm learning. So collecting anecdotal stories from others, and first of all, what happiness means. And so that is it's a very intangible thing, and the science of happiness is itself is not easy to find. So that's one of the biggest roadblocks that I face there. But then also the relevance, because one of my big issues, challenges that I'm going to have to face and overcome is my belief is that yes, that it does play a role, but there are many people, and very likely that, who cares about happiness? Show up, do your job, shut your mouth, take your paycheck, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And so that's something I'm gonna have to work hard at. And just really the relevance that it applies to them. So being able to accept a variety of answers based on their predispositions about what their beliefs of happiness are, and then how it relates accordingly. And then just the last part is put guardrails in place. And so I have friends who are doctoral candidates, have very honest and real dialogue and feedback sessions. Continue to read peer-reviewed articles, both in the past and most up to date. Journaling, and really just seeking out honest input to help me be as truthful and honest as I can in the process. Thank you.